Well, welcome again to this is episode 2 of this new podcast series I'm doing where I'm calling up random pastors, well, not so random, specifically chosen pastors from around the Wesleyan Church in Australia, and I'm introducing them to you, and we're having a bit of a chat about what ministry and life is like. So I'm going to have someone join me on this Zoom call in just a moment, and I'll introduce them to you, and we'll have a bit of a chat. Well, hi, Melissa. Melissa George is joining me, and Melissa is with her husband, both pastors in Lansdale. Where's that?
Yeah, Western Australia.
Now, that's north of Perth?
Yes, it's about 20 minutes north of Perth.
Now, you're both the pastors of the church there, right?
Yes.
And you're both ordained ministers in the Wesleyan Church?
Yes.
Awesome. So are you the boss or is he the boss?
He's the boss.
He's the senior pastor. He's listening in the background.
I just make the decisions.
Right, yeah. Well, it's great to have you with us, Melissa. You, for those who are watching, Melissa is on our national board. And I don't know if I was the youngest member of the national board at 50 years old, but I'm now no longer it. Anyway, you are. So welcome to the national board. You're a pastor there in with your husband in Lansdale, WA. Technically missionaries, right?
Yes. Yep.
So working for Global Partners, which is the name of our international mission agency. You guys came from New York State?
Yep.
Yep. I've got it right so far. Running out of my general knowledge about you, Melissa. But you also carry the title of our, National Children's Ministry Director, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. And we've had you come to our church in Maryborough before because you came and spent some time with our children's ministry people when we transitioned over to, what was it? Awana, the Awana curriculum, which we're still using, and Robin in our church is leading that team. Of course, life is very different for us all at the moment when it comes to church ministry and children's ministry. So those are the two topics we're going to talk about today. First of all, how's ministry going for you and Chris there in Lansdale? And how has that changed given that you're not actually able to meet face to face with people?
Well, probably like a lot of other churches, a lot has changed quite quickly. We went from having open doors and services to within a couple of hours having to decide that we would go online. Mostly because we went online early because we have a lot of families that have vulnerabilities, so like cancer or kids with asthma, and we just felt like it was wise to make that choice because we don't have a facility. We meet in a community center,
yep.
Which our first week we tried to go in and thoroughly clean and realized that so many people use the facility that was almost impossible. So we're now meeting from our home to everyone else's homes, and we're actually enjoying it. It's different, it's hard work, but enjoyable because I feel like we've still been able to minister to people and bring Christ to the center of what's going on in their lives amidst so much difference and pain and just a lot of different things going on.
So you actually raised something that as one of the privileged few who have their own building, never considered. I'd never considered that if you were renting a facility, and lots of our churches do, that you're dealing with all of those people who've come in and used that facility throughout the course of the week and all of, their potential passing on of viruses and so on. So interesting to hear that. That was not something that had crossed my mind before. And yes, we're all in that same boat of not being able to hold services and seeking to minister to people in a not face-to-face kind of way. From what I know of your ministry, your and Chris's ministry in your church there, your engagement with the broader community has been kind of a focal point of your ministry. It's not just what happens on a Sunday morning for you. Not that is the case for most churches or any churches, but you guys have sports ministries that you're involved with and that you run, and you're heavily involved in connecting with your schools and stuff like that. So that's obviously changed heaps, right?
Yeah, so immediately our after school program, which runs on a Friday afternoon, and that's actually our Awana program, which Awana stands for Approved Workmen Are Not Ashamed. So it's basically teaching kids that they can be the hands and feet of God now. They don't need to grow up. They don't need to wait. They can serve God right now and share Christ with others.
That's good.
And so we really felt that was our first program that within an hour had to become digital instead of in person. And so we immediately went to what was a Zoom room and we met with them. But we've really seen God work through that in the fact that we've not lost any kids in our after school program.
Wow.
We've been able to stay connected with every family. It looks different. We're now on our phones calling people. We're now texting everybody, sending short videos, trying to keep that communication because these were people that possibly we didn't see every day. We are part of a huge sports group. Our son played on the national team last year for Australia for baseball. So we have a lot of baseball and sports friends that aren't actually part of our church world, that are great friends of ours and that we've built a lot of relationships with. And actually, we've really grieved those friendships recently in the fact that we only get to talk with them through text, where a lot of our sharing Christ with them was just personal conversations and sharing life together. So that's been a bit difficult, but we've been able to still kind of keep up and send photos of the kids playing baseball and different things around. And Easter weekend was hard. That was our state tournament weekend, which got canceled. And so that was difficult for our kids because in the fact that was their doorway to get to become Team Australia.
Yeah.
And so at the moment that's been closed. But we've actually realized when our church went online, and because we had all these people on Facebook, that we've been able to invite them to experience our church in a not face-to-face way. They can choose whether they come and watch it. And it's been really exciting to see them come and interact. I don't know at what level.
Yeah.
They could have watched for 3 seconds. They could have watched the whole service. I don't know. But it's been great to see interaction there.
Because that's a big challenge for all of us, even those who've got, a steady congregation of, regulars who have been with you for a while. And I know that you guys you've planted that church there from scratch, right?
Yeah.
So you're all that church has ever known, and you're still developing, the church as it needs to develop and grow. But for all of us, as we move from face to face to online, we're stuck with like who's turned up and how do we even know who is connecting with us and who's falling through the cracks. And so I heard you talking about having a lot of phone call conversations. That's, I guess, one of your ways of connecting more broadly to make sure that you're not, missing people or letting people kind of flounder. Are there other ways that you're being able to make sure that you're connecting with, each person and not missing people?
Yeah, so our Awana program that ran on a Friday, we are currently running Monday through Thursday. They get online every day from 3:30 to 4 o'clock, and there's actually no program. I do plan a game, but other than that, it's just kids sharing about what they experienced that day. And we've created a whole etiquette of kids coming in and listening to each other and then sharing advice or wisdom from each other. And it's been really neat. Obviously, you need some older, mature kids in the group as well. But we have a good mix from year 2 to year 6. Our younger kids don't really engage in this. But they've done a really good job. And then on Friday, we're still running our entire 2-hour program. So
Okay.
they are still getting their scriptural learning on a Friday, their Bible learning, their Bible story or their Bible truth and their memory verse. But Monday through Thursday, we're really focusing on just connecting kids and giving them time to have conversations with each other that are in a safe environment.
So how many kids are involved with that? Because can I just say, I had my life group last night and we had let's see, there were 5 or 6 screens, but there were like 2 people on most of those screens. And it was, I hope they're not listening to this, but it was hard to get a word in edgewise, you know, like with maybe, I don't know, there might have been 8 or 9 of us in that group. So how many kids have you got that are turning up to that?
So at the largest group setting, we've had 18.
Wow.
And I know that there are some churches in Australia, in Queensland, that have had upwards of 30 to 40 kids in one group session. So they actually turn off mics when they're doing their teaching. We actually ask everybody when they come into the room to make sure that their picture's up, their name is accurate, and we ask them to make sure that their mic is off. Now, if they're on a computer, if they press the space bar, they can then talk without turning their mic on and off. So most of our kids are on a computer, so they only press the space bar when they go to speak. We had tight kind of rules at first, you know, like you have to raise your hand to talk.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody was talking at first and it was chaos. It was actually really difficult to hear people. But then we started doing Zoom etiquette at the beginning of every call. So we do that now. It was kind of like at Awana, we used to do, you know, these are our fun. If we do these things, we'll have fun at Awana. And it was, you know, listen to our leader, love our neighbors, you know, and so forth. Speak with a quiet voice because we were inside. Now it's, hey guys, this is Zoom etiquette. You know, we're going to turn off our mic. And if you want my attention, wave. And, but actually most of the time now we're 3 weeks in and most people are understanding now and people are leaving their mics on more often. The first reason we had mics off was because of background noise. So if parents come in the room and ask a question, they're meaning well, but it was cutting off someone else who was talking.
Yeah. We had a
so
dog in our life group last night. So.
Yeah. Our dog, he doesn't like the fact that we sit in this room now without him. So he was never allowed in the room that we do all of our Zooming and talking and office work in. And so yesterday he came in and during our prayer group, he just tipped over our computer. He knocked it straight over and was like, play with me.
Yeah, they say something about working with animals and in this case, children.
Yeah.
Your whole family, right? You do church, you present church as a family. I saw a little bit of your church stream. So you're all involved with that. Yep.
Yeah, it's been a different stage of our life, actually. Some days it's easy, some days it's hard. This past Sunday was super hard. We actually pre-recorded our service and then had internet trouble and it didn't download properly. So it never started. So at 5:25, we told everybody to go grab their church clothes, throw them back on, and we're redoing church again live. And they were like, what? And some were happy, some were not. But we did survive the 45 minutes and then bribed everybody with pizza. When we actually just finished 6 months of raising support in America, and that is very hard on our family. They are expected to share at services and share in youth classes and kids class and do things like that. So we've actually just survived 6 months of that. So our kids are actually quite willing to hop in and share some of the responsibility. And actually we've learned a lot from our kids. So our daughter had done STEM classes at her high school. So she's actually been teaching us how to do all the video editing and slide making. And so there's been a lot of things that we've been able to learn from them. And yeah, it's not all been happy. I mean, I have to be honest. I think a lot of people think during this whole COVID crisis, and even families in children's ministry, they go, oh, look, that family's so happy. Look what they posted on Facebook. No, the realistic family is we have happy moments, which are about this long, and we have lots of moments that are about this long of unhappy. And then we have a lot of mediocre time. But I think that's one of the things I've been having to share mostly with children's families is they look at Facebook and they go, why is my family not as happy as everyone else's? And I really actually feel hard for those families because what we see on Facebook is not genuinely real. It's just a snip
Yeah.
of a moment in time. And so a lot of families are going, oh, look what the Joneses are doing at the moment. And it's like, they went to the beach, they were there 10 minutes, got the family photo and hopped in the car and left. They
Yeah.
didn't swim at the beach for hours.
I was going to say, when you said, we have small sections of great, time, I was going to say that they're the ones we record and put on Facebook. And the problem with this, of course, is that that's what we do, right? We dress up, put on our makeup, take a photo of us looking glamorous and say, this is me at my worst, when it's not true. And then everybody else sits home looking at those like happy family snaps, and we're comparing someone else's best with our worst. And we're asking that question that you said, how come we're not like them? And so, yeah, being real obviously we don't want to take photos or present church in our jammies, before we've done our hair or cleaned our teeth or anything like that. We don't want to do those things, but being real about it, as you were to say, that it's not always easy, and that
Yeah.
can be a challenge. What's a big challenge for you at the moment? What's a challenge that you're facing? Shall I put some parameters around it? Maybe to do with ministry, with your role in the church and your heart for your church people. What would you say is one of your biggest challenges right now?
I think our biggest challenge is still providing education for our children and working full time.
So your kids are at home?
Well, at the moment, but it's hard because every state's different. So
Yes.
Western Australia, next Wednesday, we're apparently going back to school.
Okay.
But my husband is high risk. So we actually pulled our kids early. So we've actually been home since the beginning of March.
Okay.
Because there were people in our community that had it. And so we just felt we needed to do what was best. He's type 1 diabetic, so he's in that high risk area. And our son is a high asthma. He uses his puffer every day. So we're now at that family stage of what do we do next week? But we did 3 weeks of at-home learning, trying to teach and do our work. And that was not really working. It's not homeschooling, it's crisis schooling.
Right.
And the schools are working really hard. Teachers are working incredibly hard. In fact, right now, my heart breaks for teachers because I feel like they're between a rock and a hard place, and they are working so hard. And so that is one thing our church has been doing, is trying to send a text just about every other day to connect with our teachers in our church to make sure they're doing okay. Is there anything we can do? Can we help your family? Can we cook meals? Because I know that they are at full stress level of trying to create an online system and then being told after they've created one, now you're going back to school. But I know the East Coast, you guys are not going back to school. Is that correct?
So in Queensland, schools are open this week, but
Okay.
And teachers who don't have I think a medical certificate maybe, or aren't clearly in a high risk group, are meant to be in the classroom. And so it's open for students who need to be there. So if you can keep your children at home, so it's a dual thing. So teachers in Queensland have to both teach their classroom, but also provide education through the internet to the rest of the class who are at home. So it's really challenging for our teachers.
Yeah, and I think that's probably going to be more the feel of what it looks like next week. We're a week behind you guys, so we're still in school holidays. So I don't know that the whole picture's been made clear yet of what we're doing. But as a parent, I had the whole array of one child who could do their own things, one who needed lots of adjustments, and one who just flat out didn't want to do any of it. And so that was a real struggle. I'm guessing which is which,
but I won't say.
And my friend, she gave me some real wisdom. She is a social worker, and she said, you just need to be kind. And that word actually cut through to me, because I thought, I am a pastor and I am very loving, but when you're very stressed, it's hard to always be that super loving, kind parent. You just want to go get it done or stay in your room. But she was saying, this isn't homeschooling. And we did homeschooling last year. And hey, I survived that. That wasn't so bad. But this is different. It's crisis counseling. And or crisis schooling. Sorry, that's what I meant. And kids just need reassurance that they're safe and they're loved and that God has got control of this situation. I think the world would make us think that this is all out of control and we don't know how this is going to end. Well, that's not true.
No,
The Bible has given us story and story and story again of people who were in hard times, and God is the one who got them through it. So that's the key pillar point that I've been trying to hang on to. And in those moments where people are arguing and fighting about schooling in our house, we've been going back to simple things like the fruit of the Spirit. Last week, we literally had them taped to the wall in our living room and was like, if it doesn't fit one of these, then stop. Don't even go there. Because we just couldn't handle anymore.
Yeah. Well, I know it's tough on families. I'm, privileged to have, my kids out of formal schooling. One of them's nursing and the other one's studying university to nurse. So it's up to her if she passes or fails. But teaching your kids at home or facilitating the at-home learning for your families and my church families, it's a challenge. Well, I want to just quickly recap, touch base on the things that we talked about, and then wrap it up. But so we talked about how your church is doing there, and one of your biggest challenges there, and how connecting with people. I really like how you're touching base with the teachers on a regular basis. That's something that I'm going to pick up on here. So I've learned something and been prompted in something. Thank you for that. And then we talked about children's ministry and how you're engaging through Zoom, Awana, the Awana kids. So they were the kids who were already connected with your church through a Friday afternoon program, you said?
Yep.
And then you've extended that. So this is an opportunity that's come up because of our isolation and because of the way we as church leaders have been forced online. This whole door of connecting more regularly with those kids has opened up for you. Tell me what that's doing for your relationship with those kids and for their, I guess, ability to handle what the world has become for them during this season. Are you noticing some things there?
I think we're noticing actually deeper relationships. Well, partially because we're in their homes. So, like we've met their pet and, a lot of our kids, because it was an after school program, we do know the families, but then we don't know some families. So this has been a great way for us to engage with them, to get to know them at a deeper level. Some of the things, like watching them be compassionate towards other kids.
Oh yeah.
So, so today's just been hard. Well, why? Can you put a name to it? What was it? Is it something that you can, name for us? And for some, it's loneliness. For some, it's missing their friends. For some, it's not doing well at school. In fact, our first week, we made study buddies. So we assigned another kid that was in their classroom that attended our after school program. And they actually got online and did the classwork together. So they were working through Zoom, doing the classwork the teacher assigned, which was better than them not achieving anything. But I feel like we've actually been able to build stronger relationships. Now, I used to overrun the program, so I didn't know all the kids. But now I feel like I actually know each of them at a deeper level, and our leaders do. We have one leader assigned to every 5 kids. So it's that leader's responsibility to check up on the kids, make sure they're doing well. And then as a leader, I'm calling the parents and making sure that the parents are doing okay.
And a lot of those leaders that you're talking about are actually just older kids, right? Who have been through the Awana program.
Yeah, they're just teenagers.
Yeah.
So 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, a few are in college. But yeah, so some are young, but they care just as much about those kids as we do. And then if there's a problem that they feel is bigger than, something that's normal, we've made kind of normal parameters, then they contact me straight away. One thing that I have them contacting me immediately about is if a family becomes sick. So we had that experience this week. where a single mom became sick. And so I literally was down there banging on the door, making sure that the kids had food to eat. And they were feeding the dog and the cat and banging on the window of the room the mom was in, making sure she was drinking water and staying well. And in the end, it wasn't COVID. It was a nasty, nasty flu, but or sinusitis. But it's just really important that we're not just meeting their spiritual needs, but we're meeting their emotional and physical needs. And for some of our families, they don't have anyone else.
Yeah.
Awana or the church is their only outlet. So.
And it's a great ministry you're doing. I'm actually, well, I want to applaud you. I'm impressed with what you're doing there with your online children's ministry at the moment. It's fantastic. Quick question. You talked about these younger leaders having, you said 5, I think, a small group of their own. How are they connecting? Are they connecting through Zoom as well?
No, they're not. They are just sending text messages, or we have a Facebook page.
Okay.
So that Facebook page goes to everybody, but then parents can interact with their kids. That has been one very difficult thing. It's a good thing and a difficult thing. So we have a Facebook closed group. That's where most of our deep conversations happen. Parents can be real there because kids don't have Facebook. So
Right.
It's actually a parents interaction place. I post all my videos for kids there, and then it's actually up to the parent to share it.
Okay.
Which is complicated because parents are under a lot of stress right now. They're also at home trying to work and teach their kids and do what I was saying was difficult. So I also have started a YouTube channel this week. And all of the Awana kids are helping me build it. So this week on Monday, I asked them to send me their favorite worship song. And so we've made a playlist. So YouTube is somewhere they can access on their own. And they actually all go on YouTube anyways. So this was something they used before. And so we're now putting up Bible stories on there that go along with our lesson, and other apps and pages that they can go to. So like we put the YouVersion Children's Bible up there and challenge them to go through all the little videos and applications and play the games. And yeah, so we're trying to do that. But I think our Facebook group, they comment there, and then it's up to the parent to share it. So if they send a video, they post it there. They don't send it privately.
Yeah.
Mostly because they're under 18, I can't do a working with child check with them. And so I've actually suggested to them that if they do call, they're on loudspeaker, but I don't think they've been calling kids because I don't think they actually would have had their phone numbers.
Because I was going to raise this, I mean, kids on the internet, it raises a whole lot of issues, right? So for starters, they're all connecting with you daily via Zoom, which has had its own, I don't know, news headlines. But Zoom, to their credit, have acknowledged inadequacies and addressed them. And most of the things that make the headline news about Zoom is when, a youth group says, hey, we're all getting on Zoom, here's the number, and puts it out on Facebook for the world to see. And then you get, idiots jumping on trying to be disruptive. That's the issue. But here we're talking about children, right? Children getting together online with you, though. So you're the adult in that room.
Yeah, so when I'm online with them, there's always myself and then one other leader from our Awana program, and we record everything. So, which you need to get permission from parents for. So it's not played anywhere, although we did one special day where 2 kids had a birthday in a week. So we played What Do These Two People Have in Common? And we took they had to figure out who the kids were, and then they had to figure out what it was, and it was their birthday. So then we sang them happy birthday, and I recorded it, and then I posted it to our family page. So everyone could hear our terrible singing of happy birthday. But yeah, so I record everything. Kids have to use their name. They have to have their picture up. We always have a password. The password stays the same until a kid shares it with someone, which they're not allowed to do. So we haven't had any incidences yet, and we have met over 40 times now. So I think keeping the password for kids the same is important because they'll never look to know what the number is, and you don't want them locked out because that causes tears. So we've tried to make a password simple, rememberable. And so far we've been safe, I think. But I do say to our families, once they have a Zoom account as a family, they need to understand that they've opened a world where their kids can talk to other families, which means they're allowing their kids to have conversations in other kids' homes. They could call on that Zoom and a kid could not answer on the other end. It could be another adult or someone else. So I think it's very important that families have their kids sitting in a central space. They need to be in the living room or at the dinner table. They need to be within earshot so you can hear what's going on. It's just like anything else, we just need to make sure that our kids are safe. Kids aren't normally abused by people they don't know. They're normally abused by people they do know. So it's wise to be safe. And I think
there are predators out there on the internet, and not that we want to freak people out, but the advice that you give there, the advice that you're suggesting there is good for any child's interaction on the internet, that there are parents in the room, parents monitoring that if a kid has a phone or their own computer, that parents make sure that those things have been used correctly and not opening up, as you say, a door to things that you don't want in your child's life or in your household. So good advice and a good reminder, because this era that we're in, everything's online, right? Church is online, youth groups online, our life groups are online, your children's ministries online, and it was only a few months ago that we were not encouraging people to be online for so many things. Staying away from all the dangers online and keeping your kids offline and off social media for as long as possible. And even in our own church, we're streaming our service through Facebook, and we've made it possible. So we do Facebook and YouTube, because YouTube, you don't have to be you don't have to have a Facebook account.
Yeah.
You can watch YouTube clip even without a YouTube account. But then we've gone and set up our website so that even if you don't, you can still watch the things that only go out on Facebook without a Facebook account. So it's actually just broadcast on our website now, because, and we've said this numerous times, we're not encouraging you to get a Facebook account if you don't have one. Go to YouTube or go to our website. You don't have to sign up to social media that 3 months ago we were poo-hooing. Like we talked about earlier, the dangers of us looking at that, thinking that person's life is better than mine, and all the comparisons that take place. And there are things that aren't good about social media, but we're thanking God for it right now. When it comes to our ability to connect with our church families. Yeah, well, thank you, Melissa, for your time and for the chat. You're inspiring in what you're doing with your Awana ministry, your children's ministry, and reaching out to not just your church kids, but kids outside of your church, and supporting them on a daily basis. That's a big endeavor. And so God bless you in that. We as a denomination blessed to have you and your input through your national director's role, national director of children's ministry. So thank you for that. We're going to wrap this up, and so hi to the rest of your family, and God bless you in the rest of your isolation time there in WA.
Thank you.